All right, guys, how's it going out there fishing California with EBA? Today we're talking all about fishing. We want to break down, some basic information. Then we'll do some advanced, intermediate, and advanced information. We're going to talk all about the Panther Martin. We're going to talk about the Panther Martin. It's an inline spinner. You know, has a blade, a single blade. They make them in a variety of sizes, 132, 1/16, 1/8, 1/4, 3/8, 1/2, 1 ounce, you name it. These guys make a variety of sizes of this particular lure, the Panther Martin. People don't understand. I'm talking about the Panther Martin today because this is one of the greatest inline spinners. I might argue it's the greatest ever made. So I'm going to break down the Panther Martin. We're going to do a breakdown. Does it work? What situations does it excel in? What's the color patterns you want to look for? What type of sizes are going to work ideally for certain situations? We're going to break that down. Panther Martins, let's just get straight to it. They work on creeks, they work on lakes, they work on rivers, they work on streams, they work in ponds, they work anywhere there's water and there's fish. Panther Martins are incredible in the sense that they can catch you a rainbow trout 1 second, a German brown, a lake trout. You can get a brook, you get a brown, rainbow, brook, you get a mac, aka lake trout. You could catch a bluegill, you could catch a bream, you could catch sunfish, you could catch a crappie, you could catch bass, largemouth, smallmouth, spotted bass. You catch a striped bass. You could catch almost anything that swims. You catch shad on them at times. It's just an incredible lure. It catches a variety of fish, all sizes, juveniles, intermediates. We got the big fish, catches everything. But let's talk about some of the ways in which we really want to focus. So we want to focus on, let's say, you're fishing in a creek or you're fishing in a river, something along those lines. What I would recommend is the 1/8 ounce. Okay, so 1/8 ounce is just perfect for a little bit of running water. Anything from, let's say, 4 feet wide creek all the way to 20-foot wide creek, 30-foot wide river. The Panther Martin 1/8 ounce is special. Something about the way it stays subsurface in that water column. A steady retrieve. A steady retrieve is very important. Sometimes varying how fast you're retrieving it is key. Sometimes I like to put my finger out on the spinning reel like so that as I turn that reel, the line is ticking my hand every single time, my finger. That kind of creates so instead of just doing that steady retrieve, that lure is gonna have some jumping action. It's gonna kind of pop a little bit is in that retrieve. That's been very effective for me. I'll start out with, say, slow rolling it. Maybe I'll try the second cast burning it, and my third cast I'll try with that finger out so the line taps it. And this is gonna tell me really quick what they want. And those are the three most productive methods for creeks and rivers with a Panther Martin. Now, let's say you're fishing a creek or a river, however, you've got some high flows. You've got water coming down at a fast pace, and it's very powerful, very strong. I really like to upsize to that 1/4 ounce in those situations. The 1/4 ounce, the way it sits in that water column with the water moving faster and everything, the 1/4 ounce is going to shine more on the fast water situations. Now, let's talk about lakes, ponds, stuff like that, fish, reservoirs. These are the kinds of places where, I really like a 3/8 ounce Panther Martin. I like a 3/8 ounce Panther Martin because, one, I can chuck and wind this thing really easy. I can cover a lot of water. I can fish it slow. I can fish it faster. Like I said, I can still, put my thing, get that that other technique I described, where my finger is, every time that spool turns, my finger's there and it ticks my finger with the line. So those three methods, they're exceptional. They work everywhere. It's just understanding the size of the Panther Martin, which is going to dictate, you know, where in the water column the Panther Martin runs. And, you know, like we were discussing, you know, when it comes to lakes, fisheries, reservoirs, ponds, I like to have that 3/8 ounce. Sometimes I fish it, believe it or not, I'll fish it really light, 6 to 8 pound fluoro, even though it's a 3/8 ounce. It just gets bit more. When you fish it on 6 to 8 pound fluoro, you're going to get bit more. The minute you upsize your line on those things, they just don't quite run the same. But I like that 3/8 in those situations, because it stays a little bit, it goes a bit further down in the column. So, you know, your lure might be riding 2 feet down under that water column. And I feel like that's the sweet spot, whether it's spring, whether it's fall, whether it's the summertime, even the winter time. Just that column, it does very well. So the 3/8 ounce has, you know, its slot. Let's talk about the 1/2 ounce, the 1 ounce. Those are more for saltwater fishing. Those are for brackish water, saltwater fishing, and obviously big game. You know, with those are obviously going to ride a lot, you know, further down in the water column. So another way people like to fish those bigger ones is they like to troll them around. I do know some guys who like to cast them at lakes, and you know, they essentially, you know, I don't know if you ever casted a 1 ounce Panther Martin, but that thing flies. It casts like, you know, a bullet, casting a country mile with that thing, and it really allows you to cast into deeper water, allow that Panther Martin to, this is a technique we've had success with, so allowing that Panther Martin in, say, 25, 30 feet of water where it's hitting, to then sink. We want it to get at least halfway down. We want it, you know, mid-column, or even a little bit closer to that bottom. We don't want to snag it up, but there are a lot of times when these fish are deeply related to the bottom, tight to the bottom. We will let that Panther Martin go all the way to the bottom and hit the bottom, okay? Then we will pop it off the bottom. Sometimes 1, sometimes 2 times, pop or pop, pop, and then we just go. We go with whatever we're gonna go. So maybe it's a slow roll, maybe it's a speed burn cat, like we're burning it at a higher ratio. Maybe we're, you know, putting that finger out to tick the line every time the spool turns. Still the same exact techniques applied, but we've now talked about covering, you know, your surface, your subsurface, your mid-column, and now even allowing that bait to hit the bottom in 25 to 30 feet, and then slow roll it. Like we said, is probably where I would start out, because a lot of times you want that, the reason you're waiting to let it sink is you want it to get to the bottom. That's where they're tight, holding to certain times of the year, late summer, late winter, etc. So, you know, popping it a few times, getting their attention, and then just slow rolling it so that, you know, maybe there's some grass lines, you're ticking the grass, you know, things of that nature, create a reaction. Maybe, you know, when that Panther Martin is riding just above the surface, a lot of times those fish, they feel it's easier to ambush. It's easier for them to, you know, get a vantage point on that bait. They definitely, you know, it's definitely a very interesting way to catch them, because you will snag quite a few Panther Martins because they're 1 ounce, but riding them as tight to the bottom as you can, without actually touching the bottom, because you want that blade to spin even at that slow ratio, you know, is very key. But it's incredible. You know, you're going to lose a lot, obviously, of panther martins, but you're going to catch a lot of fish you just never would catch. You're going to target fish that are holding in areas that are very difficult with the other panther martins to fish with, and get to that, you know, make that method or that technique work. Another thing is we were talking saltwater. So you take these inline spinners to a saltwater, brackish water type fishery, river system, whatever, and they really do quite well for, you know, striper, you know, a variety of saltwater, brackish water game fish. You know, I know some people use them in Alaska for salmon. I know some people are using them for, you know, bass, actually, which is, you know, not talked about a lot. But what they like to do is get those big 1 ounce ones. You know, for me, I've seen a couple people, you know, get on this. Let's throw 12-pound mono. Let's throw 12-pound braid, and let's chuck a 1 ounce Panther Martin and ride it right on top. So almost like a buzz bait, where you're chopping the top of that water with that blade. And then a lot of times with that same thing, get yourself, you know, a tail. Get yourself some bucktail. Get yourself some any kind of fur, French tinsel, emulator flash, bait fish emulator, whatever it is. You tie that to the back of the hook, the treble. It's gonna have like a tail kicking action. It's gonna be enticing. It's gonna create reaction strikes. So just, you know, working that in that way, stripers, largemouth, smallmouth, spotted bass does incredible things. Like I said, it catches everything that swims. Each day is a little different, but I would definitely say that I like to fish these on sunny days more than overcast days. I don't know why. It just seems to be better. I like to focus on certain colors. So let's break down colors. So, you know, if you're going for like rainbow trout that are planted, you're going to want to go with bright colors. If you're going for natural fish that are not planted, wild fish or native even, you know, you want natural colors. You want your browns, you want your blacks, you want your olives, maybe white, maybe silver, maybe gold. Those are the only colors you need to focus on. Color combinations within those are also great. So, you know, and don't forget yellow. Something about mustard yellow. Yellow and black, yellow and red. There's something about yellow. So those are the colors you want to stick with. But it's like black and yellow, black and gold, right? Black and red, yellow and red, yellow and gold, yellow and black. I mean, it gets, you know, black and gold, black and red. I mean, I'm sorry, green and gold, brown and gold, brown and red, green and red. You name it, these are core colors, natural colors, and they complement each other well. Sometimes, however, you're going to get into certain situations, you got extra finicky fish, and you really need to stay with something very base. So you want a base chrome silver, you want a base gold on gold, and sometimes, for whatever reason, I can't quite put my finger on it, they want that. They're a bit sensitive, they're touchy, and that's about it. I mean, you know, get like 2 versions of the black one, 2 versions of the yellow one, 2 versions of the brown one, maybe 1 or 2 of the olive, 1 or 2 of the white silver type, 1 or 2 of the golds, and that's it. That's all you need. I mean, you're gonna find though that you are gonna lose quite a bit of these, because you know, if you're fishing in a creek or you're fishing in a river, a lot of times there's different trees, there's different forage and foliage and stuff, and obviously branches and everything. So you're going to lose a lot of spinners. So definitely make sure when you get there you have extras of these colors I'm referencing, because to go out there and catch, say, 3-4 fish and then lose the one that you're catching them on and not have a backup is absolutely, it's devastating. So going up there, making sure you have, oh, I don't know, a few of each of the colors I'm mentioning, and then as you go in your areas and you refine, okay, these ones seem to tend to work better, that's when you can say, okay, I'm going to buy these 3 colors, these 3 ones that really work well. They all work really well that I mentioned, but there might be, say, 3 of those colors in particular, or color variance, variables that are just exceptional on your area and your fisheries. So paying attention to that and then dialing it down, because what I've done is, I'm in California, we're talking about, you know, California, but you know, there's core colors that essentially you can apply to the country, the world. So these core colors, there's a reason they're core colors. So just get out there. Definitely one more thing I want to talk about, you know, that we haven't talked about is gear ratio. You know, when you're fishing a Panther Martin, a lot of people I see, they go out there with a rod, they go out there with a reel, and they're not thinking too much about how does that rod or that reel affect the action of that lure. I'll tell you that, you know, if you get like a light action rod, that Panther Martin, sometimes I've noticed that blade doesn't spin quite as much on that lure. So I like a medium light, you know, a medium, I can get away with a medium light. I like a fast or an extra fast action. I don't like light. I don't like ultra light. I don't like medium heavy. And I'm mentioning this because if you get the wrong rod, you're not going to get the most action out of that lure. It's not going to, you know, it's just not going to do it. So another thing is the gear ratio. The gear ratio on the spinning reel, bait casting reel, whatever you're running with, a lot of people go spinning because it's so much easier, so much more practical in a lot of ways. So, you know, being able to get the right gear ratio dialed in, and I'm going to break it down for you guys. So I really like, you know, early spring in the fall, I can get away with some faster retrieves. A lot of times 6 gear ratio will do fine. As that water starts to, well, as about April, May comes along, I really like to slow down. I like to get that 5 to 1, 5, 1, 1. I'll even go, you know, 4, 6, 1, 4, 8, 1. There are some reels where you know, I've tried some 3/8, I've tried some even lower ratios, and I got to be honest, you know, they're just not that effective, and I've tried a lot of the higher speeds and they're just not that effective. So if I had to stick with one speed, it would be a 5/1 to a 5/6. That would be my ratio, the sweet spot for these inline spinners, and that doesn't matter, you know, creek, river, lake, reservoir, quarry, pond, I don't care what it is. That's your sweet spot for this lure. I hope this video helps. We're trying to break down everything about, you know, Panther Martins. We're talking about colors. We're talking about line. We're talking about the right gear to get that particular lure to work, and get the most out of that action. Every lure has a design. It's a concept. If we don't get the right gear and match it up, you know, for that particular situation or that lure, we don't get the most out of it. So, you know, I hope that you guys, you know, take everything you can away from this, get on some fish, and have some fun. We appreciate you guys watching. Smash that sub button, hit that like button. Small channel, trying to grow, guys. Appreciate it.